What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you. Guys, if you don't mind, please like, share, subscribe. Of course, there's a pinned comment below, and it's got a Cash App there. You can hit that. There's also a super thanks feature in each and every one of my videos. So thank you, anyone who might even consider that. All right, guys, I just saw this article on Twitter, and it concerns Avengers actor Scarlett Johansson. Now, Scarlett Johansson has decided that she is going to dip her toe, her pretty, hot little toe, into the wonderful world of directing. Okay, so I don't know if a lot of you knew this, but Scarlett Johansson is a Jewish woman. She's a beautiful Jewish woman, and she's decided that she is going to do a movie talking about the Holocaust. Okay, another one, yes. And let's get into what she is talking about here, guys, because there is a teachable moment here, and I want to make a little bit of a statement, and you will indulge me. It says here, and like I said, this is on Dom Lucre's Twitter feed, and it says, developing. Hollywood actress Scarlett Johansson is directing a film about the Holocaust because she fears the rising hate in America. Now, Johansson's directorial debut, Eleanor the Great, is expected to be a film to get everyone talking. Johansson says, I wouldn't have felt comfortable telling this story if I weren't Jewish, she said. Johansson has personally experienced anti-Semitism in the US and fears hateful rhetoric could lead to violence. All right, okay, I don't have a problem with that. I respect that. You know, she's looking out for herself and her people, you know, as Jewish people. She sees what's been going on. There's been a lot happening with the Middle East. And you guys know that I've reported on the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu has bought a sizable chunk of social media. I played you the clip where he talked about TikTok is the most important factor in all of this. He considers this a tool, a weapon in the ongoing war against Jewish people. You know what I mean? So this is what he's talking about. And also, he was talking about expanding onto X as well. I also told you that they bought a big chunk of YouTube as well. They've been running their Hezbollah ads, you know, propaganda. They're doing all of this, man, and they're doing it in the interest of self-preservation. And I can't be mad at that. But before I expand upon that, let's get into a little bit more of what's going on with Scarlett Johansson and this film that she's making. This is in ynetglobal.com, Ynet Global, what not, ynetnews.com. All right, so it says here, Scarlett Johansson on her Jewish roots. She says, I lost many relatives in the Holocaust. This film is for them. In her directorial debut, Eleanor, or The Great Eleanor, Scarlett Johansson returns to her Jewish heritage with a story about a 94-year-old Holocaust survivor. She tells Ynet Global why she waited until 40 to direct and why making the film felt like an urgent mission. Now, I'm going to spare you reading all of this. I'm going to scroll all the way down and pick up the part that I want to comment on here. And it says, let's see. Okay, so they're asking her, do you have any relatives who perished in the Holocaust? Scarlett Johansson says this film celebrates heritage and the importance of preserving the Jewish people's stories, she said. That is something I can absolutely relate to because I've lost many relatives in the Holocaust. I was not always aware of it. Those stories were buried within the pages of family history, and I only discovered them recently. Without my connection to Judaism, I do not think I could have told the story with the same authenticity. I was lucky with the timing of making this movie, she continued. In a few years, I think it would be much harder to make a film like this. Casting the support group scenes and seeing who was able and willing to participate made that very clear. There are 250,000 survivors today, but next year there will be far fewer. In that sense, the urgency I felt while making the film surprised me. Now, of course, guys, she's right. As time goes on, the Holocaust survivors, they'll die simply because, I mean, it was a long time ago. They're getting old, or they are old. They're dying out, you know, so you got to tell this story while they're here. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who are rolling their eyes, oh, not another Holocaust movie, and, you know, we're so tired of hearing about this stuff and all of that. But honestly, guys, I see this as a teachable moment because you guys know that I've been doing videos talking about the black image, for the longest time, and how I feel like the black image has been under attack in Hollywood. I'm not the only one talking about this. Way back in the, what, 80s, maybe 90s, Public Enemy made a classic song called Burn Hollywood Burn, where they were talking about the problematic state of black images in America and why we find ourselves inevitably where we are now, having to actually walk up and down the block crying about Black Lives Matter, trying to convince people that Black Lives Matter. We find ourselves today addressing the issue of so-called black fatigue, where people are saying they're tired of black people. They don't want to see any more black stories. As a matter of fact, black people ourselves, whenever you see a movie talking about slavery or something like that, oh, we roll our eyes. Not another slave movie. We did more than be slaves. Well, see, the beautiful thing about a lot of these Jewish filmmakers and things like that is that they have this slogan, this little saying that they say, which is never forget, never forget. They tell their stories because they understand that it's important to them to remember not only where they came from, but what they triumphed over, what they persevered through. And that's the part that I feel like a lot of us are missing as black people. We get stuck on the victimhood aspect of it, the victimhood narrative of it. Look at what was done to us. We lost our identity. We lost our language. We lost our families. We lost our religion. And many of us, by the way we act, we done lost our minds. You know the quote. But anyway, yeah. So we look at it from this narrow vision, this narrow scope, where we feel like because we were slaves, um, it was a weakness. We don't like to think about ourselves being whipped and raped and murdered and killed and belittled and all of these things that happened, back then. So we don't want to hear about it because we have these unresolved issues. I think America in general has an unresolved issue with slavery, even though the beautiful thing about this terrible thing, if you could say, if you could use the word beautiful, is that as a country, we ended slavery. That's what a lot of people keep forgetting. Yes, we did indulge in this terrible practice of slavery, wherein human beings were were destroyed. Human beings were, I mean, everything imaginable that you can think of that goes into degrading another human being happened during those times. You know what I mean? That's the state of humanity, though. When you look at humanity or human history, unfortunately, human beings do the worst, most terrible things to each other. And of course, slavery existed outside of America as well. And that's the reason why I say we do have an aspect of pride here in that we ended slavery as a country, and as a people, we rose above. We rose above slavery. I think I might have disappeared. I don't know. Like I said, I have a problem with this because there's a glitch. So let me see if I can bring something else up here if I'm not on the screen. All right. I just want to show you something real quick because, for example, guys, I did a video talking about hip hop and how it's problematic that we have lost our identity as black men. And we have so many hip hop artists that want to refer to ourselves as little this and young that and boy and all of this stuff to the point where manhood is missing, you know? And one of the comments that I got back is over here. It says, "Get with the time, pops. It ain't that deep. It's just music at the end of the day. LOL. Chill out, man. Get with the time, pops." Scarlett Johansson is talking to Holocaust survivors that are damn near 100 years old. I am old, but damn it, I'm not that old. You know what I mean? I'm a fraction of that, okay? But I get to chill out. It's not that deep, pops. Get with the times, pops. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Whenever I make a video talking about how we as black people have to be conscious about our image, how we have to protect our dignity, I get so much pushback from black people, in particular black men who you would think would understand more than anybody. But this is the current crop of where we're at. As a matter of fact, I point to my numbers. You guys know I do this every now and then. Not to cry about how, oh, my channel just doesn't get any views, but just to give you a little bit of proportion about what's going on in terms of black values and black interests. You know who gets the most views, in terms of black content creators? Those black content creators who highlight black dysfunction. Either you're talking about white supremacy and how black people are nonstop perpetual victims where you have to get in a damn argument every time you want to talk about self-empowerment. Either we're victims, you know what I'm saying? Or uh, we're what is it? We're self-haters. We're talking about the problems in our relationships. You have whole sides of YouTube that are dedicated to the problems that black men have with black women. You got whole sides of YouTube dedicated to the problems that black women have with black men. And so we fight. Don't call me bitch, ho. Or no, no, no. What was it? The Ghetto Boys did. Don't call me nigga, bitch. Don't call me bitch, nigga. And we just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And those are the channels that blow up. Hundreds of thousands of views. People, black men who don't like or have a problem, whether you feel like it's legitimate or not, with black women, keep throwing money. Throw money at that. Throw money at that. Black women who feel like they got a problem with black men, throw money at that. Our dysfunction is all that we talk about, all we care about. And at the end of the day, it is all that is exploited in us. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you have Jewish people, for example. Never forget, Scarlett Johansson. I applaud her. I applaud her for doing what she's doing. And every other filmmaker and things like that. They're looking out for their image. When I talk about hip hop and the current state of hip hop, look at these dancing, singing strippers. Look at these glorified wannabe criminal, thug, uh, the homo, whatever you want to call them, that's out here, fluid, whatever you want to call them, right? You picture a Jewish filmmaker selling this to their people. You picture that being their dominant image where they show that. Yet I can talk to somebody like Director X a couple of years ago, and he doesn't understand why I'm talking about the awesome responsibility the black filmmakers have to take the characters out of the hood, even if they start there. Like Malcolm X said, there's no problem with being a thief or a criminal or a robber. The sin is in staying a thief, a criminal, a robber. You got to show the growth. You got to show the potential, the humanity. But we don't believe in doing that. And that's the problem, So you don't want to support somebody who tells you that you could be better. Somebody who says we need better images. Somebody who says that we need to have a T'Challa. We need to have a positive male role model or positive male role models, positive female role models. Our image is all that we have. They say that you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. We have a terrible first impression all around the world as black people. You know, Israel, they want to buy social media influence. Black people, we don't even think about that. Social media is nothing but negative for us. Nothing but negative for us for the large part because we don't check any of it. I'm not saying that you don't have positive people on the internet. I'm just saying that we don't support them. We don't uplift them. We don't patronize them. So when I see stories like this one with Scarlett Johansson, and what she's doing, she wants to give back to her people. Hollywood, of course, is probably gonna, I'm sure they're gonna support it and everything. Of course they are. But in the meantime, what are we doing? It just makes me look back. I'm not trying to practice tribalism here, by the way, guys. I'm just saying I was thrown into this. This is the world that is. I'm all about being a human being. Anyone who's been watching my videos, you know this. I've talked about that a million times. I feel like black people, for lack of a better term, we can't rise. We won't prosper until we see ourselves as human beings first, because then we would know that we deserve the best of images. We would be a lot more conscious about the way we come across and what how we show ourselves to our children. We'd be able to identify what's negative and what's destructive and what's harmful. It wouldn't be $1 billion industry the way it is, hip hop being what it is, comedy being what it is, the internet being what it is. Wouldn't be $1 billion industry if it didn't buy influence. So if we see ourselves being put out there in a negative manner consistently and overwhelmingly, then that influence is going to be our destruction. It's just that simple. So hats off, to Scarlett Johansson and people like her who understand the importance of where history is taking us and how it's not just music at the end of the day, and things like that. Um, you guys get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about that. I don't know if it made any sense. Hopefully it did. This is one of those videos I do that's only going to get like 100 views or something like that. Meanwhile, you guys keep on going back to those videos. Keep on supporting those videos. Keep on pouring money into those videos to keep telling you to hate, 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 hate yourselves, hate your women, hate your men, hate your children. All right, guys. All I got to say. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. I will catch you on the next one. This is the gospel according to Mark with a C. Rock on.